So welcome to JCamps Back to Camp Night 2021. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce our team. So my name is Emily Stern. I'm the Senior Director of Camping here at the JCC. I've overseen camps, these particular programs for the last 6 years, but I've been a part of the JCC for a long time. I'm also just going to introduce Stacy Deems, who is our Assistant Director of JCamps. She's waving on the screen right now. As well as our JCamps coordinator, Ali Feldman, who is controlling our wonderful presentation this evening. She's also going to be trying to answer some of your questions along with us, so we're going to be jumping back and forth with just a little bit. And Bradley Kirkston, who is our Director of Operations for JCamps, but also serves as the Senior Director of JKids and Special Projects at the JCC. So many of you, if you are ever involved in other programming, likely know him from some of our other programs here at the J. Some other people for you to know at the J include Adam Stein. He's our Tennis Academy Director. So if your children are signed up for Tennis Academy, he's the director of that program. In J-Day, we have 3 unit heads who oversee our units that you can be in direct contact with throughout the summer. Our beret sheet unit head of J-Day, junior and kindergarten is Nava Wachtel. Our OLEAM unit head for 1st and 2nd grade is Melissa Rosenblatt. And so theme unit head 3rd through 6th grade is Alex Rubenstein. So all of which are returners, many of which have long experiences in camp. For Sports Camp, Habima NT and CIT, we have our Sports Camp Director, Justin O'Neill, Habima Arts Director, Gabe Lewin, and our Senior Director of Arts Education, Melissa Seltzer. I actually didn't look up her title. I think that's what it is. Our TNT Experience Director, Hannah Samuels, and our CIT Director, Eli Polek. So that's who will be joining us this year, and you will be in contact with throughout the summer. For your campers in particular. And the last 2 people that I just want to mention to you so that way you know who they are, they're not on the screen tonight, as many of these people weren't, but they will be at Back to Camp Night, is Matthew Rubenstein, is our summer admin this summer. So when you call the office, you may get Ali or you may get Matthew. Helene Rappaport, who's our inclusion director. Cher Ali is our camp nurse this summer, and Shanice Crawford is our aquatics director. So before I turn things over into what you can expect to see from us this summer, I know many of you are probably wondering how Governor Hogan's announcement last week affects what our policies and procedures are going to be for the summer, which we absolutely understand. As of right now, the Maryland Department of Health of Youth Camps, that's our licensing agency that we look to that gives us all of our guidelines for camps. So the Center for Disease Control gives us our recommendations, and the Maryland Department of Health gives us our guidelines that we have to follow. As of right now, Maryland Department of Health has not updated their guidelines since Governor Hogan's announcement. So what we're going to be going over tonight is what we know as of today. This is our plan to open camp on June 28th with all of the procedures that we're going to talk about tonight. And if anything changes, we will let you know. We'll let you know through emails. We will reach out. If you ever have any questions, please let us know. If there is anything that we change in terms of our policies or procedures, we do so in consultation with LifeBridge Health. We have an amazing partnership with LifeBridge, with their chief medical officer, like on speed dial. We talk a lot about what is safe, what is going to keep our camp community safe, from our staff to our kids, from unvaccinated to vaccinated individuals. So we will make those determinations based off of the Maryland Department of Health guidelines, as well as what we believe will keep our camp as safe as we possibly can this summer. So I wanted to let you guys know that in advance of going through everything we're going to talk about tonight. So what we want your campers to get this summer, let's put COVID to the side for a moment. We will talk plenty about what our procedures will, but really camp is about having fun. We are here to give your kids an in-person experience this summer. Some of your kids have had it, some of your kids haven't. Some of them have had a little bit of both. We did open last summer successfully, and we're excited to be able to do that again this year. We hope that your campers are going to enjoy a welcoming, positive, and supportive and safe community, grow in a Jewish environment with Jewish experiences. We are ingrained in Jewish values. While we have staff and kids that are Jewish and staff and kids that are not Jewish, we try to meet everyone where they are, but really with a Jewish perspective. We want your kids to make new friends, participate in dynamic activities, socialize outdoors, and have fun. That is what we're here for this summer. But in order for us to have a successful summer, we also have camper expectations that we will hold your campers to, of course, in a way that is child appropriate based on their age and all of that. And in order to succeed at camp, every camper needs to make their best effort to follow our camper guidelines. All those guidelines are written in our parent packet, but just a few to name include carrying their backpack or water bottle, keeping their hands to themselves, respecting others, respecting our materials, and respecting themselves, keeping a mask on when necessary, and we'll talk about when that is going to happen at our camp a little bit later, and of course staying with their bunk. They always must stay with our counselors at all times. If they do not do that, then we will be reaching out immediately. We have specific guidelines for in the changing rooms, no roughhousing, no bullying, being nice to each other throughout the day. If at any point any of those expectations are not met, we will have reminders and positive feedback first. We'll, kids get chances, of course. We'll talk to them about them, discussion of consequences if needed. Removal from the group, which may just mean that the counselors need to take a minute to take the kid on a walk and have a conversation, or the unit head to come in and just remove from the situation to give them a break. Sometimes after that, there may be an attention from an administrator if it continues. So that's myself or Badley, Stacy, Allie. If it's really continuing to the point where it can't just be fixed at camp by us, then we'll have a parent conference and bring you in to talk about it. The more that you can help us with your campers, the better. We're here to be as preventative as possible, but also if we have to be reactive, we'll be reactive together. If in some cases, in rare cases that the behavior is not changing, then we may need to do a contract in order to try to meet with success. And the last possible scenario, and I went through a long list because you'll see it doesn't happen often, is dismissal from camp. We don't ever want that to happen, but we really just need to make sure that all of our campers are staying safe, and that's what everything is about for us. So now I'm going to turn the next little bit over to some of my colleagues to talk about different areas of camp, and feel free to put questions in the chat as we go along.
So hi everyone, my name's Allie. I am the JCamps coordinator, and I'm going to be talking to you a little bit about the Campanian app. So there are two apps that you'll hear tonight. There is the Campanian app as well as the JCamps Baltimore app. The Campanian app is super important. You can find it in the App Store if you have an iPhone, or the Google Play Store if you have an Android. This is our daily health screening procedure that must be done in order for your camper to get into camp that day. So make sure that you download it. So once you download it, you're going to see a login. So for your login, you're going to use the same credentials that you do for your Camp in Touch account. So that is your camp portal. That's where you fill out the forms and documents for the summer. If you're listening to this and you're like, I've never logged into that, my significant other or my whoever does all of their forms and documents, please send me an email so that way I can make sure that you have a Camp in Touch account email with us, and I can let you know what your username is and reset a password if it needs to be reset. So make sure that you download this app and you are able to log in. Once you sign in, you will then see a few different options, but you'll click a taskbar on the upper left-hand side, and it is going to pop up with all of your campers that are enrolled for the 2021 season. So even if your camper isn't enrolled in a session for that week, you are going to still see their name. So you'll click on the camper that you're checking in for that day. And then you are going to see a variety of different questions, and you are going to answer them. There's two questions. It takes like less than 30 seconds to fill out. It's really easy. The first question asks about symptoms, and then the second question asks about exposure and travel within the last 24 hours. You are going to answer the questions honestly, and then once you hit submit, which is located at the bottom of the second question in blue, you are going to get a result. If the kids are in camp that day, we're assuming they're healthy. We're assuming they're going to get that passing result. So what you're going to do is you're going to either screenshot that result and have it ready, because you have to show it to our carpool staff or our bus staff or our early drop staff, whoever it is upon arrival that is checking you in. And if you don't want to screenshot it, you can also check your email, because it will email you upon completion. So it's super important that if you are coming to camp that day, that you fill out this questionnaire online, so that way we can check and see that your kid is ready and healthy, and we're keeping everybody safe that way. If your child is staying home that day, we ask that you fill it out, because it lets us know that they will not be coming to camp that day. Even though you are supposed to call the office and let us know, it's a way of us checking it twice and having it recorded twice in the system, which the more we can record it, the better, because we like to keep everything on record to keep your families safe. And then if you are carpooling with multiple other families, please make sure that you are getting that health check result from the parents of that family. We ask that you do it before camp because sometimes the Wi-Fi at the JCC is not the best. And we have noticed during our pre-weeks that sometimes the app does freeze on us. So we ask that you do it at home. If you do complete it in the carpool line though, and that happens, we have found that if you turn off your Wi-Fi, it will load. And then if you are dropping off your kids, but you know that whoever's at home already filled out the Campanian app for that day, make sure that that person is sending you a screenshot of the results, because even if they filled it out, we're outside of Carpool. We don't really have a way of getting to our back-end system really easily. So make sure that they take a picture and they send it to you, or they forward you the email. All right. I'm going to turn it over to some other of my colleagues.
Hi everyone, it's Stacy, and just like Allie was talking about, I'm going to talk about the morning carpool procedure. So obviously you just learned all about the Campanian app. So our morning carpool runs from 8:45 to 9:25 this year. We did extend it for a few moments because we do know that we have the health screening going on. So we said prior to arrival, please complete the health screening questions in the Campanian app. We also know that there are some families who don't have access to an app, or grandma or someone else who is dropping off does not have access to the app. If that is the case and they don't have a smartphone and there's no way to get it, we are going to have in-person questions in order to ask them. But to make it quicker during carpool, we do ask that the majority of people do have that app. We are going to have several people out in our carpool lines. So we will have some of us be walking around, just checking it up to the cars and just reminding you, have you checked your app? Do you have it? Do you have any questions? What can we help you with? That kind of stuff. As you pull up closer to the beginning of the line, you will be met by other staff members who are going to actually be looking at that app, making sure we see that green check mark, and taking the temperature of your children. We are not recording temperatures this year, but we are taking them. If you are more than welcome to bring your own thermometer if you would rather take their temperature. At that point, the cars will be pulled up to the curb and campers will exit the car. We do ask that adults stay in the vehicle at all times. I think I just saw a question pop up saying, what happens if your camper cannot get out of the car, and can you get out to assist your child? In that instance, what we ask is that when you pull up, we're actually going to wait and have you pull all the way up to the very front of the line before you exit the car. And that is just so that we don't hold the other cars up. So we'll have you pull up into the loading area if you do need to get out of that carpool line. And then, but otherwise we're asking that adults stay in the vehicle at all times. We're asking that everybody also is masked in the vehicle. We also ask that all campers exit on the curbside. Now we know that there's times where there's car seats and infants and all of that on the curbside, and it's a lot harder for that child to get out of the car. If that is the case, please do not open the door onto the street side until you've talked to a staff member to let us know that it is physically impossible for your child to get out on that curbside. We will then most likely again pull you up towards the front and then go over to that curbside and walk your child around safely to the curb. So we do have procedures for all of that. And we also have no parent or guardian permitted to walk their child to the group. So everyone is staying outside and we'll be walking everyone up. And then you can leave once your camper is escorted inside. So what we do is we'll check when they come up to the curb. We have counters meeting them, open the door, greet your child, say good morning, bring them directly into their counselor where they're going to be checked in. I do see there's a lot of questions coming through the chat, but we'll get to those in just a moment. Do you want to show the map part and then we can answer some carpool questions? So here is the map of our campus. If you have not been here before, or even if you have, we have two different carpools going on. Our Noah's Ark carpool starts a little bit earlier than our JCamps carpool. And that one, you are going to follow those blue lines towards the left of the building and go around towards the pool and tennis courts. The red path, we ask that you actually come down Associated Way. So instead of turning off of Gwynbrook, we ask that you go around to Garrison Forest and come down Associated Way past the apartments and come into camp that way. And that is for all of our camps except for Noah's Ark. So those of you who've been with us in the past, you may remember that CIT or TNT was dropped off at the front circle. That is not happening this summer at all. Everyone is going through the carpool line. The front circle is reserved only for our buses, which is a different procedure than we've had in the past as well. If you're dropping off kids in Noah's Ark and JCamp, we recommend going to Noah's Ark first and then crossing over to do the JCamp carpool line. And I think that is, and then we'll go through.
I just want to address a few questions while we're talking about carpool.
Sure.
So one of the questions I have been getting is, if my child is fully vaccinated, why do they still need to do the Campanian app? And it really is because we can't allow children to come into camp if they have any sort of illness. So we just like to have all of our staff and all of our families fill that out, because it does ask a lot of different questions about symptoms, and we want to keep all of our families safe, as the majority of our children will not be vaccinated this summer.
Yeah, and then it looks like, do we want to just answer a few other ones that were in here? So if you have any questions about the Companion app, definitely, email Allie. She can help get you in. It says that, if you have it on your smartphone, but you're asking why to screenshot it, it's because the second you close that app, you're not going to be able to pull up your old results. So that's why we're asking you to either screenshot it or show us the email answer as well. Temperatures are taken in the car at the very front of the line before you pull up to the curb, and at all times parents are staying in the car. Campers are the only ones getting out. Temperatures are actually taken in the car. We reach into the window and take your child's temperature with a scanner. If you've taken it yourself and you have that scanner with you, you can show us what that is as well. We've had families that do that. Afternoon carpool. So afternoon carpool times are 4 to 4:30 p.m. Each camper this year is assigned a separate carpool number. So you actually, and I don't know if it came today or if it'll show up sometime in the next few days, but you will receive a bright blue envelope in the mail, and this is going to contain your carpool number or carpool numbers for your campers, as well as a full transportation packet with a lot of other information in that. So make sure you check that out and put those carpool numbers in your car window. If you need additional carpool numbers, definitely let Allie know and we can get them to you as well. Make sure you've updated your authorized grown-ups. Your authorized grown-ups is found in your Camp in Touch account in the forms and documents section. You need to scroll down though, because it's a family form. So it's not going to be under like Johnny's forms or Sally's forms. It'll say family form for authorized grown-ups. So please complete those or just check them to make sure that they are still correct. If you've been with us for a few years, maybe you have people on there that are no longer picking up your child or are not allowed to pick up your child anymore, an old babysitter or something like that. You can definitely go through and clear those out. Again, adults must stay in the vehicle at all times. We are not accepting any walk-ups. It's that same exact procedure. You need to get out of your car because you need to buckle in your child or for any other reason or just to assist. Again, we're going to ask you to pull all the way up to the front so as not to hold up that carpool line. So that is that same procedure there. Directional signs are going to point you directly where you need to go in that instance as well. And that is, Allie, I think it's back to you for late arrivals and early dismissals.
So if you need to drop your child off late or pick up early, you can send me an email at afeldman@jcc.org or feel free to give me a call. My number is up on the screen. If you are dropping off late, we do ask that you complete the health screening. You will have to show me that when you come into the JCC. You'll pull up into the front circle and come through the main lobby. My office is right there. You can't miss me. And then we will get your temperature taken at the front desk as well. If you are picking up early, we do early pickups until 3:20. So 3:20 is the latest you can pick your child up. And that's because I head right into Carpool. So I'm not even available to help with that unless, if there's an emergency, just let me know. And like Stacy mentioned before, just make sure that an authorized grown-up is picking up your child, because I will be checking that when you come to pick up early.
Great. Now it is my turn. My name is Bradley Kirkston. So before we talk about extended care, I just want to say, previous to this Zoom call, we did have an additional Zoom call to talk about our extended care program as well as bus transportation. If you're unable to make it, that's totally fine. We recorded it and we're happy to send it your way. You can just email Emily and you can email Allie and she can give you the recording of that. But I will go over a little of the details for extended care. We're really excited to be able to have the return of our before and after care program. Our early drop program starts at 7 a.m. and ends at 8:35. If you're coming after 8:35, please go to our main Carpool line. Just so you know, your children will enter through the main entrance of the JCC. There's a little door next to the main entrance called the Performa. That we will have 2 staff members outside that will greet you, check the Companion app, take your child's temperature, bring them into the JCC, and then up until 8 o'clock, they will be waiting in the Performa, or once 8 o'clock hits or we have 10 people, we will be outside in our lovely upper courtyard. And that's really early drop off. We're gonna have games and fun activities. And then late stay goes every day until 6 p.m. and that will be headquartered at our J Day tent. You will not have to get in the car at all for late stay. Instead, you will just get to follow the signs up and a staff member will assist you. And you can remain in your car and they will text use the walkie to get the parents, to get the child, and then walk the child to your car. If your child is picked up after 6 p.m., a late fee of $2 per minute will be applied. If you're interested in adding early drop off for late stay, we still have room in many, many weeks, and you can just email Allie and she can help you get signed up. Thank you all.
Along those extended care lines, I'm sorry, I just wanted to bring something up that's come up a little bit in the chat, and that is teens. In past years, our TNTs and CITs, because they are over the age of 12 or 13 when they're able to be at our JCC campus by themselves, did not have to be signed into an early drop or late stay program, an extended care program, because they were able to stay on campus before and after, because they were also required to be members. This year, because of our COVID policies at the JCC as a whole, everybody on JCC campus is actually here for a purpose and is registered either as in a class or doing the gym or as at the pool. And there is no longer an option for you to just drop your child off on your way to work because you are a member and they are old enough to be in the building. So every child does need to be in an extended care program. We do have a teen extended care this year that is at a different price. So it is $25 a week per camper. That is because of the ratios that are needed for teens are different than they are for the younger kids. And if you were thinking that was going to be the case and that you were going to drop your child off on your way to work and pick your child up on the way back and you didn't need the extended care like you didn't used to, I just want to inform you that has changed. So please, please, please reach out to Allie Feldman or myself or Matthew and get us, and we will be happy to sign your child up for those teen extended hours.
All right, thanks, Stacy. So a little bit about communication. So I know you guys have gotten some emails. Make sure that you are checking those. Every other Thursday, we will be sending a preview email out to our families, letting them know what's coming up later in the summer. We will also be sending out a Friday review email. And then every single Wednesday, we will be sending out a survey email with 3 to 4 questions, just because we like to get feedback throughout the summer. So that way we can make sure everybody is having a wonderful time. You can follow us on our social media platforms. We are already posting for the summer and introducing our leadership team. So make sure you give us a follow on Facebook as well as Instagram at Baltimore JCamps. We post some really fun stories during the day. And we have an awesome photographer this summer and a great team. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is our JCamps Baltimore app. So this is a really fun app. This is how you stay up to date with us throughout the day. You know, you're at work, you're wondering what your kid's doing, you can check the app. The app includes so many different features that are really wonderful, and it's just a great way to stay in touch with us. It includes access to camper photos. So we upload those twice a day so you can check while you're at work. There is a camp calendar that can actually integrate right into your personal calendar. We update all of our dress up days there, as well as other special events that are happening specific to your child's camp. We will send out push notifications reminding you of that. It's also our emergency text system. So God forbid there's ever an emergency, we would text you guys immediately. If there is a weather update, for example, if we go to heat day and we bring the kids inside, or if it's raining, or if there's thunder and lightning, we will send out a push notification and a text about that. If there are any other important reminders, you can get it through the app. You go into the App Store, you're going to search JCamps Baltimore and a red J comes up. Make sure that you get that downloaded as well. It's just a fun way to kind of stay up to date with us and check on your kids throughout the day. All right, so a little bit about who to contact. So I'm in my office in the lobby every single day from 8 to 4:30. Just so you guys know, during camp hours, I will be prioritizing anything urgent that is happening at camp. So if I do not answer, feel free to just leave a message and I will be sure to call you back, or Matthew Rubenstein. And you can reach me at my email as well as my phone. I do get a lot of emails during the summer, but I will do my best to make sure that emails that have to be answered that day get answered. And that is why we have Matthew Rubenstein, who is amazing. He is our summer admin, and he can also answer any emails that you might have. He's in the office a little bit later than me, and I'm in the office a little bit earlier. We also have a general phone line as well that both of us can pick up, and that is our 2390 extension. So feel free to give one of us a call at that extension if you have any questions. All right.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Now we're going to talk about the schedule. I know it's a little hard to read here, so I'm going to go into some of the details, but not all of them. But basically, during our day for J-Day, Habima Sports, the TNT Experience, and CIT, we have 7 periods of the day. One of those periods are lunch. And for J-Day Junior, they just have 6 periods of the day, including lunch, and 1 afternoon break time at the end of the day. But the schedule, that's really the only difference. Each of our periods is 40 minutes long. And because we have so many campers this summer, we're going to have 3 lunch shifts. As you see on this schedule, there's lunch period 1, lunch period 2, and lunch period 3. But whatever lunch shift your child has, that will be consistent throughout the whole entire week. Most of our groups will get instructional swim in the morning, and all of our groups will get free swim in the afternoon. Allie, if you can move to the next slide, we can talk about the map. So this is our incredible map of our JCC campus and of our summer camp. As you can see, we are really spread out and we are using an incredible amount of space outside. You'll see the basically 14 to 18 is all of our areas in the woods. We have 3 brand new areas we're really excited to use. We have some upper field space and lower field space, and we're using the back of the building where our pools are and our playground is. We have such incredible programming this summer, from archery to Gaga to arts and crafts to science to Zumba Junior, one of our newest activities, to nature, to Shababa, which is where we infuse our Jewish values that I'm going to talk about in a second. And of course, on Fridays, we celebrate Shabbat. That's not even including all of our dress-up days and special events and all of the amazing activities that we're going to give and amazing experiences that we're going to give your child this summer. But I do want to take a note and talk about our 4 Jewish values that really help us guide all of our programming. And these are 4 values that we have had for the last couple of summers, and they have really worked for us. And they're, like I said, they're infused in all of our programming. And that is Kahila, community, Hakira, curiosity, Tikkun Olam, or repair the world, and last but not least, Ruach, or spirit. And those 4 values, like I said, really are infused in all of the programming that you see. But we thank you very much, and I'm going to turn it over to the next person.
Oh, Em, you're muted.
Yeah, I got it. Sorry, I was very focused on the chat. You guys are asking great questions. We're trying to get to all of them, we promise. Okay, aquatics. So what is swimming going to look like this summer? We are very excited that we are able to bring back instructional swim to our camp this summer. We are operated under the guidelines of the American Red Cross, and the swim program at JCamps emphasizes personal safety, swimming skills, and a positive self-image. The groups that receive instructional swim 5 days a week include any camper in our J-Day program of any age, J-Day Junior, as well as any camper in sports camp, and campers grades 1st through 3rd in Habima camp. Those are the groups that get instructional swim. The way that we're doing instructional swim this summer to make sure that we either socially distance or have our groups by pod or bunk is our level 1 swimmers, which are our youngest swimmers, tend to be very large groups of our kindergarten and J-Day junior kids, some 1st graders. Obviously, it just depends on your kid's swimming level. If they are a higher level swimmer at a very young age, we will make sure to move them into a group that's appropriate. But our youngest ones, because there's so many in the same group, will be in a swim group together. All of our level kind of 2, 3, and up swimmers who are across other areas of our pool, there are colored polydots that we're putting on the side of the pool to make sure that bunk groups of kids in those instructional swim groups are sitting together and spaced out to the other groups. So that way we are social distancing between bunks, even if they're in the same swim group. We will also have platforms in our pool to be able to space out some of our level 1 swimmers to make sure that even more of our younger ones can stand during instructional swim only. When there's a counselor standing at the platform with them. We do the same thing for our Noah's Ark swim groups inside in our instructional pool during the year, so we know it works well as long as we make sure that we have a staff member there with them, and that is only for instructional swim. So during free swim, we are going to have free swim the same way that we've had in the past, which is the kids will be separated into 3 different band levels: red bands, white bands, and blue bands. And Allie, if you go to the next spot, the next one, I can show everyone what that looks like. So this is what we call our Z pool, or our family Z pool. If you turn your head this way, you'll see why. It's because it looks like a Z. The lines designate the different sections of our pool. The red band section starts at our walk shallow stairs all the way to about 2.5, 3 feet. You'll see that we have our circles, which are our watcher spots around the pool. Our ratios are 1 to 10 for our watchers, in addition to our lifeguards. In order for a camper to get a white band, we do testing on Mondays and Fridays. And on that day, they can test for their white band or blue band. A white band means that they are going to go from one end of the longest end of the pool, once on their front, once on their back, and tread water for a minute to get a white band. For a blue band, it's 4 laps. So your children do have to be very strong swimmers in order to pass our white and blue band tests. Blue bands can participate in our rock wall this year. We will have our rock wall open in the afternoons during free swim. For the splash ground, in order to make sure that outside of the pool, we are keeping social distancing, we are only going to have our youngest campers in the splash ground and actually assign only a few groups per swim period to make sure that it doesn't get too crowded with a bunch of different groups, so we can make sure that we are keeping our kids and really having that sustained social distancing, which is the big thing for us this summer, is that we have sustained social distancing so that they're not next to the same camper for a continuous period of time. We do have restrooms down at the pools. However, not all of our groups are changing in the bunkhouses this year because we want to make sure that we keep all of our groups separate. We have many different places around our building and bathrooms that the kids will be changing in. They will all be camp only areas. So your children will be changing some groups will be changing in our Gordon bathrooms or in classrooms upstairs. Anywhere where there's windows, they'll be covered, and we'll make sure that we have separate boys and girls changing spaces as well. So that is how free swim and instructional swim will work this year. You'll see our little bag drop areas. There's a baby pool, but it's not for your kids. Our Noah's Ark swimmers may be coming there every once in a while. So that is swim for you guys this year.
So it is back to me. So what to wear and what to bring. First rule is to label, 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 label. Label everything that you possibly can in order when you're sending it to camp with your child. If you are looking for the really nice labels that are not going to fall off of anything in your Camp in Touch account, you can order them directly through there. The perk on our end is that we get a little help on the back end that goes towards our scholarships and stuff like that. But really, they're amazing labels, and they will stay on for a long time. So just label what you can. The other thing that you to wear is a tutu on Tuesdays. I saw there was a question in the camp: do boys wear tutus too? Yes, our boys wear tutus as well. In some years and in some groups, actually, it turns out that like the male tutu population is larger than the female tutu population. So we all kind of get into it. We do a funny dance and we, kind of go on with our day. Wednesdays is dress up day, and in your in the camp calendar, which you can find in the JCamps Baltimore app, tells you exactly what our costume days are. We ask them to wear a camp t-shirt on Fridays as well. And if your camper has been in camp with us for a few years and has extra older t-shirts, Thursdays are Throwback Thursdays. So they can wear a different camp t-shirt on Thursdays. What should your child bring to camp every day? We ask that they're bringing a backpack or a large cinch sack to put everything in. We really ask for no wheels or no shoulder bags. We're moving all over the place. We go from sidewalk to grass to the nature trail, and wheels are a little bit difficult. We ask that they bring a reusable water bottle that again is labeled and that is leak proof. You can definitely fill it before you leave the house. We have plenty of water stations around the JCC for them to refill, and we are constantly reminding them to drink, drink, drink. We have lots of games with it, we play with that as well, and different ways we get them to do it. And we all challenge ourselves to drink the water that's necessary. 2 bathing suits. So we ask that your campers come to camp when possible in a bathing suit and also fully sunscreened because they are going to have that first swim in the morning. If your camper is not comfortable in putting on a damp bathing suit in the afternoon, we ask that you send a second one. So some campers are fine with it, some campers dislike it. So we just ask that they do that. And obviously, because you're going to be sending them in a bathing suit, one of the most frequently forgotten items of clothing is underwear. So please remember to pack some undies for your kids as well. 1 towel, you can send 2, but really lugging around 2 towels that are damp is really, really heavy, and you can still dry off with a damp towel. So we ask that you send 1 towel, a plastic bag for any wet items, a lunch, and a snack. So lunches are refrigerated. We'll go into more details there in a little bit. And you can also order them from our cafe. The snack is not refrigerated, so just make sure you pack that separately and pack something that is going to be not perishable. We do serve an afternoon snack as well, which is a popsicle. If you feel your camper needs a little bit more nourishment in the afternoon, feel free to pack them an extra snack for that afternoon. Totally fine. Again, also will not be refrigerated. A rain jacket or poncho. We are outside, and unless it is pouring down rain or thunderstorm, lightning, something like that, if it's like a drizzle or a pretty steady light rain, we're still outside. So a rain jacket or a poncho, unless you want to get a wet kit at the end of rainy days, which some you definitely do. Please pack sunscreen. So we do reapply it twice a day. We do ask for the spray sunscreen and maybe a face stick. Obviously, it's a recommendation, does not have to be what that is. Again, make sure you label it because we have lots of sunscreen around. And a face mask. So anytime we go indoors during drop off or pickup, or anytime that sustained social distancing is not feasible, we are going to ask campers and staff to be in face masks. So please pack an extra face mask for your child. What should your child leave at home every day? So anything that is going to mean a lot to them if they get lost, right? That is number 1 rule. If they want to bring their very, very special toy to camp, highly, highly suggest that they do not. So electronics, personal toys, money, there's no option for them to go to the cafe or to use the vending machines. There's no need for money on campus. Books or novels, unless they want to read, if they're like an early drop or late stay and they want to read, fine, but really we ask them no books. Cell phones and tablets, we understand that a lot of your kids do have cell phones and all of that. We really ask that they keep them at home as much as possible, or at least you kind of help us remind them to keep them in their pockets as much as possible. CITs are a little bit on the different side, and Eli will send an email out about that. And really anything of personal value, right? So all that kind of stuff should be left home every day. I'm gonna turn over to Allie for what happens when items are lost.
Yeah, and just to address a quick question we're getting about if you should send your camper in their swimsuits, we encourage it just because it'll be faster for campers to change when it is instructional swim. However, if your camper is super uncomfortable in their bathing suit, waiting for instructional swim, you're more than welcome to pack it. We just recommend it because they'll get in the pool faster, and it'll speed things up. So lost and found, like Stacy said, make sure you label everything. If your item has a name on it, we are much more likely to get it back to you. If you are looking for a lost item, please email me, afeldman@jcc.org. In our JCamps Baltimore app, you will see a folder. It's not set up right now, but it's under the Photos tab. There is an album for just lost and found. All items are going to be posted there. So please get the app. If you see, oh, there's a red water bottle, I know it's mine in the JCamps Baltimore app, just email me and I will make sure to get it back to your camper that day. Due to sanitary reasons and health concerns, we're not going to be saving underwear or socks. And unfortunately, this year we are not able to dry any towels. And now we're going to talk a little bit about camper forms. So this is really important. We have a lot of required forms that your child needs, or else they will not be allowed to enter into camp that day. So the first forms are medical forms A and B. Make sure you get those filled out. It asks a series of questions regarding your child's health history. And then there is our JCamps assumption of risk. This is our COVID-19 waiver. So make sure you get that signed off, as well as our JCamps waiver form, which just asks some other questions in regards to putting sunscreen on your campers. If we are allowed to take photos of your campers just to post on social media for that sole purpose only, as well as the confidential camper profile. It is mandatory for campers below the age of 7th grade, and then it is highly recommended for campers in TNT and CIT or at 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th grade. And this is just a way for us to kind of get to know a little bit about your camper. And we have an amazing camper support staff with us this summer, and it is helpful for her to kind of know what's going on with your camper before they arrive to camp. We also have a new form. It is our JCamps ropes waiver form. You guys got an email about it last week, only if it was required for you. If you didn't get an email, it's not required for you. So this is for our J-Day campers in grades kindergarten through 6th grade, so not our J-Day junior campers, as well as our sports campers, our TNT, and our CIT campers. So make sure that you get that filled out as well. In addition to that, we also have a medication forms packet. This is required for anybody who has asthma, as well as a severe allergy, or will be taking medication during the day at camp. So please make sure to get that filled out before camp starts. We can't administer any medication or anything of that nature until these forms are on file with us. Feel free to scan them to me. You will also be able to drop off medication during back to camp night to our RN. And then, as Stacy mentioned, we have our authorized grown-ups form underneath the families tab in your Camp and Touch account. We do check this form, and we want to make sure that we're sending your campers home with the right people for their safety. So make sure you get that filled out as well. You have to add any names that are not already on your Camp and Touch account. So if you know that you're carpooling with another family, make sure that you have their parents and guardians written on your camper's authorized grown-up form. All right, and I'm going to turn it back over to Emily, I believe.
Great. So now we're going to get into all the medical stuff. just to answer the question about the lunch times, to make you aware, I did put all of the lunch groups in the chat. I know there were a bunch of questions coming in about it. I was saying the email, but I figured it would just be easier to put it in there. We all absolutely recognize the last lunch time is on the later end. If you want to pack extra snacks for your camper, you are more than welcome. We will always let them eat in between activities. We have 10-minute transition times between all activities. So there is time. And if you're particularly worried about your child eating, just let us know. We can always just send a quick note to their counselor as well to keep an eye out for extra snacks for them in between. It's not a problem at all. Okay, so, and yes, if you want to pack an extra snack in the afternoon, you may also do that if you have a picky eater who you know is not going to have a popsicle, or if you just want them to have something extra. Please just remember the snacks are not going to be refrigerated. So something that is not going to get melty and gross in their backpack is highly, highly recommended, because if it gets that way, they're probably not going to eat it anyway. All right, medical stuff. So who are our medical professionals this summer? We do have a new nurse this summer. We're very excited to welcome her. Her name is Sher Ali. She is a nurse. She will be our on-site nurse during camp. There is still a nurse in our early learning center from 8 to 1 p.m., but everything will be taken care of by our nurse on site up at our main part of camp. We also have medical consultants, as I mentioned earlier. LifeBridge Health is a huge one for us, as well as Dr. Michelle Trudell, who worked with us last summer to help set up a lot of our policies and protocols. So we're really excited to be able to have such a strong team to create all of our medical policies. Okay, so next thing is what happens, what are we doing, right? Why are we here? Why are we going to help your kids? To treat sick and injured campers and communicate with you guys, administer medication, handle COVID-related concerns, and provide for the health and safety of all of our campers and staff. So what happens if your child is sick or gets hurt at camp? And if it's something that is non-COVID related, they get hurt or anything happens that we're concerned about, we will treat it here at camp. If we feel that it is something that we cannot treat at camp and it requires emergency services, we will call those emergency services as needed. And we will call you immediately after to keep you in the loop and let you know what is going on at camp at all times. If your child takes a prescription medication at camp, please, please, please make sure to email camp.medical@jcc.org to arrange for a time to drop off your camper's medicine. That can be done at Back to Camp night as well, which is on Wednesday night. And make sure that you have your medication administration authorization form filled out and signed by your doctor. That form can also be e-faxed to us as well, and we can put that in your camper's account. Each prescription and over-the-counter medication requires its own form to be completed and signed by a parent or physician. So you cannot combine more than one medication on a form. Prescription medications must be in a container labeled by the pharmacist or prescriber. You can't just put it in a baggie or in anything else. Non-prescription over-the-counter medication must be in the original container with the instructions for use labeled with the camper's first name and a medication administration form. We cannot just give over-counter Motrin, Tylenol, anything like that. Non-prescription medications also include vitamins, herbal medicines, anything like that. The only thing that we can do at camp without a medical form is sunscreen and bug spray. Those are okay. So at Back to Camp night, you'll be able to hand in any of these forms. In addition, if your camper has an allergy, then they need their medication administration form, separate forms if you're bringing in Benadryl and you're bringing in an EpiPen, as well as an allergy action plan. For asthma, it is both the medication administration form and an asthma action plan. And for diabetes, same thing, action plans really for anything that we need to know when we need to give a medication and when it should be happening. We need that action plan with it from your doctor. And last but not least, we always hope to have a very lice-free summer, but in the case that we do have anything, we will definitely let you know. We will send an email home, and any camper must be NIT-free in order to return to camp. All those things that we used to worry about before COVID, right? All right, so the next thing is our COVID policies. All right, so no sick camper or staff member will be permitted at camp. We want sickness not here, as in every summer, but especially this summer. If your child is ill, they must stay home. If your child has a fever or a COVID-like symptom, which we're going to show you exactly what those symptoms are in a moment, it must be reported to camp. You can email Allie at afeldman@jcc.org, and you're also going to fill out your companion app and say yes to symptoms. So technically your child will fail the companion app health check, and we will also know then to reach out to you regarding your child's symptoms. If a camper or staff member develops symptoms during the day, they'll be isolated and required to go home until cleared by a doctor to return. This also applies to siblings. So if your camper is at camp, they are not feeling well, their sibling will be sent home with them. And we'll talk a little bit more about how they can return to camp after. We will follow health and COVID protocols to determine the severity of the illness. And all of these policies, as I mentioned, were made in consultation with our camp health team and our partners at LifeBridge. So in order for your child to be readmitted to camp once they do not feel well, then they need to no longer exhibit evidence of the illness. They need to be fever-free and symptom-free for 24 hours without any fever-reducing medication. In case of a communicable disease, a note is required from the child's physician stating that it is safe for the child to return to camp. And we talked about lice a little bit already. If your child develops symptoms during the day, we talked about that they'll be isolated and required to go home. What happens if there is a confirmed case of COVID? Any staff or child exposed to a person diagnosed with confirmed or probable case of COVID-19 may not work or attend camp until they have completed self-quarantine following the CDC guidelines. If your child is vaccinated, you can speak to us about that. Obviously, we all know now that if you are vaccinated and you are exposed, then you do not need to quarantine. However, if you have symptoms, that is different. If a group has a staff member or child that is found to have a confirmed or probable case of COVID, they will be, if it happens for any reason at camp, they'll be brought into an isolation room and will go home. And we would assume that likely they would not be at camp when we find out, but in case, we will notify the Maryland Department of Health for testing and contact tracing. And really at that point, we go into a protocol where we follow Maryland Department of Health recommendations for closing groups and all that apply. When we are going to notify you. So we are going to notify you when there is obviously, we hope, of course not, but if there were any positive case at camp, we will notify you, or if there's any firsthand exposure. Otherwise, the kids are getting tested left and right these days for COVID. You like cough sideways a little bit and you're getting tested. So we're not sending out those constant testing emails because everyone's getting tested all the time, but we will absolutely contact you if there's anything of concern that you need to be aware of, need to be made aware of immediately, and what the protocol is that we are following. So what are COVID symptoms? COVID symptoms are a fever of 100.4 or higher, cough, difficulty breathing, diarrhea or vomiting, new loss of smell or taste, sore throat, new onset of severe headache, especially with a fever. You will notice on here, a COVID symptom is not a runny nose. You will notice on our companion app that runny nose is a symptom. It's because we don't have any control over the list of symptoms that are in the companion app, and it is done by a national organization. So if your child has a runny nose, they are okay to come to camp as long as they can keep their mask on. If there's a little sniffle, something like that, they're more than welcome to come. However, if it is going to not allow them to wear a mask comfortably, then they should stay home in that case. In order to return to camp after a COVID-19 symptom, really it needs to be diminishing within 24 hours. If your child comes home and they're really tired, they're not feeling great, mom, I have a headache, they wake up in the morning and they have a little bit of sore throat, then they need to stay home for 24 hours. If you let us know, come the following day, they're starting to feel a lot better, their symptoms have completely gone away, then they can come back to camp in that case. However, if after that next day it's either getting worse, more symptoms are starting to creep up, in that case we will need a healthcare provider document that confirms the symptoms are due to either a specific alternative diagnosis, so in that case strep throat, a pre-existing condition like allergies, or an ear infection, something that can be a specific alternative diagnosis. Otherwise, it needs to be a negative PCR test result. I know you're asking the question, does it have to be PCR? At this moment in time, it must be PCR. We are in constant conversation with our partners at LifeBridge Health regarding if it's going to be PCR or rapid. Right now, as of tonight, it is PCR. We will update you if that changes in any way. In addition to that, there needs to be no known exposure, a significant improvement of symptoms, and no fever for 24 hours. This also applies to siblings. So a sibling cannot return. So if you have a camper, say your older camper has a symptom, they need to go to the doctor and they get a PCR test, then the younger sibling may not come to camp until a negative PCR test is returned. So that is for really anyone in the household, mom or dad, anyone who lives with you is getting a PCR test or a COVID test of any kind. We must know that that's happening. It is Smaltimore. Please let us know. Otherwise, I'm sure we're going to find out anyway. So please let us know. But everyone in that household must stay home until we get the negative result in that case. However, what we also know is that there are campers that have allergies and asthma and other symptoms that are chronic. You'll see in your medical forms that there's a place where you can write in any pre-existing conditions. All of these COVID symptoms are above baseline. So if your child has allergies where every single morning they're going to have a runny nose and a little bit of a cough, if you have a doctor's note saying that they have allergies, we will take them with those with that doctor's note. We just need to know that in advance. Okay. That is everything that I wanted to cover about that. If you have any questions, you can feel free to put it in the chat and I will try to answer anything else at the end.
It's back to me. Sorry. This chat is really fun. Okay, so lots of great questions and we really appreciate that. Keep them coming in. We're trying to keep up with them as much as we can. So lunch, snack, and allergens. Or wait, were we there? Or we had chef dance. Allie, go back. There we go. Lunch, snacks, and allergens. So what we ask is that you pack a daily kosher style lunch. What kosher style means is we ask that there is no meat and cheese in the same lunch. So if you are packing a turkey sandwich, please do not put cheese on it. If you are packing a cheese sandwich, please do not put turkey on it. So that's just it's one of our guidelines. We do refrigerate all of our lunches. Because of that, we do ask that they do come in reusable lunch bags. If you've ever tried to put a brown paper bag in the refrigerator overnight, you will understand why. So we do ask that you put them in the reusable lunch bags. We also ask you to pack a morning labeled snack. As we've mentioned earlier, feel free to pack extra snacks if you have a camper who is extra hungry or is extra snacky or is not getting lunch until a later time. We will be more than happy. We never stop people from eating, and we understand that really that's the best way of having to get the energy throughout the day, being outside in the heat. We do provide an afternoon popsicle and challah on Shabbat. Don't get too excited, unfortunately, for our returning campers. We are not able to do s'mores challah. We are, all of that is due to the health and safety protocols, so we apologize. So we are not going to have the s'mores challah, but we will provide a piece of challah on Shabbat. We also, instead of grape juice, we do a grape jelly bean on Shabbat as well. We are not a nut-free campus. So those of you with children in Noah's Ark are coming up from our Noah's Ark program. That program is 100% nut-free, and that entire basement is nut-free. Nowhere else in the JCC is. So we are not nut-free, we are nut-safe. What that means is we know exactly who our campers are with nut allergies. We ask that families do pack nuts, like nut alternatives. If you are going to be packing peanut butter, or if your kid's peanut butter and jelly, we ask that you change it to sun butter or something along those lines. With our younger campers, we are very, very cognizant of it, and we keep them a little bit separated, like a counter will sit in between or something like that. We also do not allow any sharing of food, regardless of the age of the campers, for these allergy reasons as well. So just so you know, anything that we are serving to our campers is kosher, it is dairy, and it is nut free. It is nut free to the point where it is not even packaged in a facility with nuts. So we are very, very cautious of what we are serving to your campers. If you have campers who are picky eaters or anything like that, or you have any sort of concerns or worries about what they are eating, please let us know. We will put you in touch with their unit head. We will talk to their counselors. We will make sure and work with you in order to get your camper eating appropriately. If we are serving something that your child is not able to have, let's say gluten, or we're doing something along those lines and we're not able to provide an alternative for it, we will contact you and let you know. So we will have that conversation and say, hey, we're going to be doing XYZ. What do you want us to serve to Johnny instead? Or do you want to pack something for him instead? We talked about our staggered lunch period times, and during those lunch periods, we are in physically distanced seating during that as well. And our lunch tents are separated with visual markers in order to keep the groups separated from themselves. That does not mean that there's no fun at lunch. We still have lots of music, we still play games, we still dance and sing, and it's still a very campy lunch. In addition, it's also where we do our prayer before and after the meal is the very campy version of the hamotzi, and a very catchy and campy version, in very short version of the birkat at the end. So if you have children who don't know it, they will learn it quickly, and we do that at each lunch period as well. So that is that. Hot lunch from Chef Dan's Cafe. This has come up and we are so excited to be able to bring hot lunch back to you this summer. Chef Dan's from our Pikesville JCC is coming here to Owings Mills initially just to do camp lunches. I'm not sure when he's going to be opening to the public this summer or if he's going to be able to. We're still in that. We still don't have that answer. However, your campers get lunch from Chef Dan's Cafe. So $5.50 a meal, different daily options, including a la carte. Everything that they serve is also kosher and nut-free. They do have a meat kitchen, so there will be a meat option occasionally. It is delivered to your camper at their lunch times, and the menu and directions are found directly in your Camp in Touch account. Those of you with children in Noah's Ark program, please be aware that there are two different menus in there. The Noah's Ark menu does look different. There's obviously not a meat option in it, and there's a little bit different as well. When you log in, you'll also see a staff option that is really only for staff and adults. So, please do not choose that for your campers. And weather, I think I'm turning it back over to Emily to talk about what happens in our severe weather conditions.
So obviously we're always hoping for the beautiful 75 to 80 degree day and sunny, but unfortunately what we know is that the weather does not always cooperate with us. So the majority of our activities will take place outdoors this summer. However, there are a few things that are taking place inside. Two of Habiba's activities will be inside this year, as well as our Zumba activity for J-Day will be inside as well. Everything else will be outside. Extreme heat is our code orange or red days. For instance, this afternoon for our pre-week camp, after like 1:30 today, we did come inside to do some of our activities. We'll keep an eye on the weather. If at any point we think it is going to be too dangerous for the kids to be outside, also depending on what the activity is that they're doing. If they're going to be out on the open field versus being in the shaded trees in the woods are two very different things. Same thing for swim. If they're going to be in the pool cooling off is very different than if they're playing Gaga where there's no shade. So we'll take all that into consideration, and thankfully we do have our amazing facility to come into when needed. Heavy rain or severe weather as well. Stacy mentioned earlier, if it is just a light drizzle, we will stay out. We really do want our kids to participate in their planned activities as long as it's safe. And a little tiny bit of rain won't really hurt anybody. Our indoor plans, though, if we do come inside, each bunk is assigned a designated area where they will remain throughout the day with their counselors and staff. So as opposed to the groups going from place to place to hit all of their activities, the specialists will be coming to them because we really want to make sure we're not turning over those rooms with multiple groups of kids every 40 minutes. So we'll keep the kids in their designated area if ever that needs to happen. It is really, really important that you guys download that camp app, my camp app that Allie mentioned earlier. If there have been instances where we've gotten severe weather right before or right what is usually our afternoon carpool or the buses, and there have been instances where we've held carpool for about 10 or 15 minutes until the severity of the storm blows over, we will always send out a reminder at that point saying what we're doing. And so you know, but you need to download the app so that way you can get those notifications. Okay, so that is the weather. Camper bunks. So the bunks will remain together throughout the day. That really becomes their pod for the week. They will not mix with other bunks, and they will stay socially distanced at least 6 feet apart. When they're in the same area, they will be socially distanced, and visual markers will be used when possible. So I know a lot of you were asking about the different staggered lunch times for our groups and why we have them the way we do. It's a lot of it is around their swim schedule. Unfortunately, we can't change the younger ones to all be in the same one, because it's really important to us to make sure that we stagger our younger kids across all of our swim times. So that way we don't have all of our 100 kids swimming in the little shallow section that we have at the same time. So we have to stagger them out, which then staggers their lunch out according to that. So unfortunately, there's not a way for us to put them all at the exact same time, although of course we would love to, but feel free to send those extra snacks. And if you have any concerns about your kids being hungry, let us know. We'll make sure the counselors are looking in their backpack and making sure that they're fed. Our goal is to limit exposure to a set group of campers and staff at all times. So it's that sustained contact that we're looking at for 15 minutes or more. We really want to make sure that that sustained contact is not happening with anyone who is going to different groups like specialists or leadership staff. Those bunk counselors can be with your kids, but everyone else will be keeping that distance as much as possible, and no sustained contact will be happening. All right, so I know a lot of you had questions about masks and bathrooms. So when are your kids going to have to wear masks? And this is what I'm going to go back to when I mentioned earlier about Governor Hogan making his announcement. This is our mask policy as of today. If at any point we change anything, it is in consultation with medical experts, and we will make sure to keep all of our campers and staff as safe as we possibly can. So all staff and campers while indoors right now will be wearing masks unless they're eating and drinking. Parents, guardians, and grown-ups dropping off or picking up, as well as your campers during those transition times, will also be masking. So that's during carpool, that's during busing, that's early drop, when they're getting dropped off, and late stay when they're getting picked up. At that point, they can be coming in contact with others, and we want to make sure that everyone's masked during that time. We understand that some of you will be vaccinated in your cars. It is only for the moment that your kid is opening the car door or you're talking to that health check person, and it's just because we don't know who's vaccinated and who's not with our parent guardians. And we want to make sure that we keep everybody as safe as we can. Campers and staff outdoors will only be masked when sustained social distancing is not possible. So our goal really is that when we're outside, we're going to be able to manage sustained social distancing. And your campers will not be wearing masks a lot of the times outside. However, if they're doing an activity and they have to be shoulder to shoulder with their bunk mates, then they'll be wearing their masks. But our goal is when they're on the soccer field, when they're playing Gaga, when they're at arts and crafts, we're going to be able to space them out so that way they don't have to wear them. Or when they're playing Gaga or they're on the soccer field or on the playground, they're not going to have sustained social contact because they're going to be running around and moving from place to place, same as in the pool. So in addition to the pool, obviously, we're not going to have a kid wear a mask. So that is the outside piece. Indoors right now, they will be wearing them. It's air conditioned inside and very cool. The bathrooms. So campers will have the opportunity to use the bathroom whenever they need it. So really, we have designated bathrooms for both inside and outside for camp, and each bunk has assigned bathrooms between activities and assigned changing areas for swim. That doesn't mean your camper has to go at a certain time. It just means that when your camper says they need to go, that the counselors know which bathrooms to take them to, so that way not everyone goes to the same place at the same time. Between activities, especially for the younger ones, counselors will be reminding younger kids to go to the bathroom, because we know the second when they have to go, when they're having fun, they don't want to go, and then but otherwise, well, they can go when they need. And high touch surfaces are sanitized between groups as well. All of our specialty areas will have spray to sanitize as much as we possibly can. And anything that is too small to sanitize between groups, each group will have their own set of. So for instance, every group will have their own set of markers and crayons and little things that if it's too hard to sanitize between a group, they have their own to bring with them. Okay, so that is masks and bathrooms. And I talked a little bit about infection control already. We have increased routine cleaning and disinfecting, hand washing before and after each activity. We have additional hand washing stations across camp this year, as well as we did last year. High touch surfaces will be disinfected. Bunks will have their own supplies, additional signage and reminders. And we even have designated walking paths to tell groups which way to go from activity to activity, so we don't cross too many groups at the same time through the same place. So that is how we're going to keep it nice and clean around here for the summer. And we have additional maintenance staff here to help us manage that, as well as our own staff. So we come to the end of the information that we wanted to give to you. So if you have any additional questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And Allie, if there's anything that we didn't cover yet that we need to answer, feel free to let me know.
We appreciate the positive feedback. Thank you, Kim. Just a question that I was getting a little bit. If you are not able to log into the JCamps Baltimore app, we only loaded primary parents on, but I'm more than happy to add anybody else on. So just send me an email and let me know. So we have a question. Will we receive a roster for our child's bunk?
So we don't send out the bunk rosters unless you ask. We do ask parents if we're allowed to share information. So if you do want a roster of your child's bunk, just send us an email. We can send you anyone who has agreed to share their information.
There was also one piece that I wanted to mention about the hot lunch program with Chef Dan's, just so you are aware. And this can come up in a few times in these pre-week camps, is if your child does not finish their entire hot lunch, there is no way for us to pack it up and send it home with them. I know they really want they want to finish their mac and cheese later. They want to finish a piece of pizza later. We don't have a safe way to do that. So if you have a camper who's getting a hot lunch and you know that they're probably going to want to send it home, just pack a little extra, zippy or like a container, an empty container, and we'll be more than happy to pack it up in that safe way. Much better than us trying to put a mac and cheese in your kid's backpack or a piece of pizza and then you find it when you get home. So just
just to answer a few questions that just came in, the only way really to pick up your camper is through our carpool line if you want to pick them up during carpool. If you are working out and you want to pay for extended care and get them that way after, you're more than welcome to do that, but we cannot manage a lot of walk-ups this summer, so we're not having them at all, because otherwise there's just going to be too much of a crowding of parents. So we understand that there's individual considerations that we have made in the past. We really need everyone to come through carpool this year, and we apologize for the time it may take to do that, but we're living in the times we're living in this year. We really hope to go back to walk-ups next year, but that's not going to happen for this summer. And Erica, we're so excited for you too. And she's actually plugging, which we didn't talk about, really awesome service opportunities that we're giving your kids in partnership with JVC. We're really excited to be doing that again this year through our Shababa program, which really every camper is going to get to do this year. So we have some really great Jewish programming that is going to involve those service projects, which we're really excited for. In every bunk, there's going to be between about 12 to 16 kids in a bunk, so a little smaller than we've had in the past, but up to about 16 in a group. We can go up to full licensing standards this year, so there may be some weeks where there's a few more, but we won't be going too big.
So there's questions about where you can find this video, or if you missed the early drop late stay bus video earlier. So as soon as they are uploaded or downloaded, I guess, from the cloud, we will send them to our marketing team and they will be found on our JCamps Baltimore page. So if you go to jcampsbaltimore.org and click on InfoSeries, you will be able to find the links to this as well as our earlier InfoSeries that we have as well. So by like tomorrow afternoon, you should be able to see them up there, ideally.
And Alana, yes, CITs will get volunteer hours as they have in past years as TNTs. The way the CIT program is working this year is they will be a pod different weeks in different ways. So for session 1, for instance, weeks 1 and 3, the CITs will be their own CIT group, getting ready to be bunk counselors to help out leadership opportunities and some camp activities as well. However, weeks 2 and 4, they're actually going to get assigned to a bunk and they will be with that bunk as their pod the entire week, and they will get service hours for that entire week. So they're going to get a ton of hours that way, which we're really excited about for them. And they get a little bit of both experiences this summer as camper, leadership, and bunk helper. TNTs will also get some hours as well. However, it will not come through working directly with children. It will only be through community service projects. So they will get, Bradley, about how many a session?
About a session, they should get anywhere from 10 to 15.
And a session is about 2 weeks.
Weeks, yep.
The last one is 3, so they'll get a little bit more that time.
Yep.
Okay, well, it looks like we answered all of your questions so well throughout that we don't have too many more questions coming in. If you have any, if you need anything about, so last year the TNTs did not get any hours because we didn't set the program up that way last year. It was really just a continuation of camp activities in the teen track. We weren't able to pull that together that quickly last year, but we were able to do it this year. So sorry about that. And how many kids are in a bunk? Between 12 and 16, depending on the week and the age. Okay, all right. Well, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to hang on and answer and put them in the chat room. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining us this evening. We are so excited to have your campers starting next week. As a little plug, we do have back to camp night on Wednesday night. We're going to be sending out an email tomorrow about what the specific procedures will look like. We do have an RSVP for that, so please make sure to sign up in advance. There's 20-minute slots for a meet and greet. It will only be 20 minutes for those slots where you can come, say hi to your campers counselors, drop off any meds, talk to camper support or leadership if you would like, and then head on out because the next group will be coming in. So that way we can manage the number of people on our campus. So we look forward to seeing your campers on Monday if they're not already with us, and have a great evening, everyone.
See you later. Bye-bye, everyone.